and so it is. Namaste. Reclaiming our natural health. As I said earlier, I think there's a reason why Abraham put it at the back of the book. Because if you've been following along, you have built a belief system that may have been different from the moment you started 5 weeks ago. Because this particular process is not what we've been taught when it comes to health and sickness. I can tell you, 10 days ago, I hurt this left leg so badly that I couldn't walk. Last Sunday, I stood up here, someone said to me, we had no idea you couldn't walk, because when I get left here, I couldn't even get down off the... But this process that I'm going to share with you today is the process I used. And I have absolutely no pain in my leg. I can walk, take the dogs, whatever, in less than 10 days. So I know it works. I've used it before. And since there's only 2 processes today instead of 4, we're going to slow it down a little. We're actually going to do it. I'm going to have you in your seats kind of do the process so you can feel it. Because one of the things that is true is that we were created with homeostasis, perfect health. Now, if you turn the TV on, you're going to hear a whole nother story. You're not going to hear that we have perfect health. You're not going to hear that that's our true self. You're going to hear there's everything else, these ailments, and if they don't get you, then they're going to tell you the side effects of the drugs. So one of those will get you later and program that into the process. It works, does it not? When I was young, drug companies were not allowed to advertise. Y'all remember that? Lawyers and drug companies couldn't advertise. That all changed because of lobbyists in Washington. And look what's happened to the disease in America. And the amount of money spent on drugs of all sorts. Now, I'm not saying I'm against drugs, I'm not. And I'm not saying I'm against the medical profession, I'm not. There is a time and place for all of that. But there is also a time and place for truth. And that's what today I believe is about, is taking another look at the truth about who we are and how we were created. And once we understand that, how it can begin to change the way we approach some of this. So please don't take away from this at all that I'm anti-doctors, anti-drugs. I'm not. I think everything has its place in balance, but it's not my first go-to. And I'm not saying it should be or not for you. That's a decision you have to make. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone knows no Tuesday night class this week. We will pick it up again probably in October. And so this whole study starts with this, and we really have to understand this because this is where science and spirituality is coming together now, here and now in 2021, where we're starting to, from quantum physics, understand that we live in a universe of vibration. You've heard this from me week after week after week, because it is not what we've been taught. And the highest and the fastest energy is source energy. You can use the word God if that works for you, or spirit. It's the intelligence that holds us together. I think I said this last week. I was so amazed that the Hubble picked up, for the first time ever, we know that in a black hole there's light on the other side. Of course there is, because it's all light. Sometimes there's absence of light, but there's always light behind it. So we're seeing these happening, amazing things are happening as we're living in so many ways, and it all comes down to vibration. All technology has to do with understanding and how to capture vibration in a new way. That's all. I mean, I talked about this on Tuesday night. We're going to quantum computers. There are companies making them today. They will obsolete every computer you and I have ever known about. And they do not use the binary system. They're quantum. They're unlimited almost. They're 168 million times faster and smarter than what you and I know today. It's happening. So it's just taking the vibration of the universe and looking at it in a different way, which is what we have been trying to do, or are doing in these last 5 or 6 weeks, looking how it can work for us. Einstein, as you know, is one of my spiritual mentors. Nothing happens until something moves. That applies to you and I. If we stay status quo, we will stay the way we are forever. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 5 years, 20 years. And you're going to look back and say, after 20 years, I have not grown. I have not changed. And the universe, that's growing 12% or more a year, we're falling way behind if you're in status quo. So that's why I believe in this so much, and why I believe it's so important for us to understand, and how can we apply that to who we are and what we live. These are, I'm showing these again for anyone who wants to have the record of them. I highlighted the ones that I use the most in my coaching, in my personal life, because somebody said to me, I can't use all 22. Not today. But you may get over the next, now that you know they're there, you can go back and use this as a reference. And I have summarized this at the end today, since we only have 2 processes. And you don't have to take notes, because I have it all printed out for you. And I'll have it as a handout in the back. So in the summary, I've aligned them by ideas. You know, if I'm having a money issue, where should I go? Go here. There's 3 processes you can look at immediately and begin to look to see which one will help change. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again on process number 16. Learning to pivot is the most important thing you can do, not just for your total life, but for your spiritual life. If you don't know how to pivot and change how you feel, you're going to continue to stay in status quo. You're going to vibrate at this awful feeling for as long as you want to vibrate. But pivoting, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through, helps you instantly. It's the one you can put to work today, this minute, and begin to pivot as you feel those feelings coming up of not so good. And you can move to there almost immediately and make it happen. So this takes us through all 22, and we're going to deal with just 2 today. Reclaiming our natural health. That statement is very important because it sets the belief system that we are natural health. That's how we were created, that's how we were designed, and that's who we truly are in our true self. And as you go through this, you're going to see a different shift in mindset in this whole process, I think. So Abraham says this is for when sometime you're in an emotional set point between depression, 22, lowest, up to about frustration. So this is anytime you're in a negative place over how you feel physically, about your health, no energy, whatever it might be, that is around this whole notion of health. Remember the premise that we started with in this book. We were created to come to this planet as joyful co-creators of our lives. If we're not joyful, then this is something we can use, because it's going to help you with the emotional and mental state, which will show up in your physical state down the line. Dis-ease. Dis-ease is the lack of ease, right? It's when the flow is not happening, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and becomes physically. So we're going to I'm going to give you the opportunity to go through this. I want you to feel it. And I think that's better than me talking about it. And since we have a little bit more time today, I'm going to do that. So the way you do this is choose a time when you have about 15 minutes, quiet, undisturbed, and you want to lie down, not sit. Lie down, and you want to have the paper. Again, all of this I have printed out for you, so you don't have to take the notes. And you want to lie down where you can bring this paper and actually read this to you, because you're not, or put it on your iPhone, record it in, and then you can sit there and listen to it. About 15 minutes, somewhere comfortable, lying down, because it's absolutely okay at the end of this to fall totally asleep. And if you do, I believe it's even more beneficial, because you don't have your conscious mind coming up with anything to offset what these statements are. So you don't have to write them out, they're already done for you, and you don't place them. So I'm just going to invite you today just to, if it's comfortable, close your eyes, just take in a breath, hear the words, and I'm going to do them fairly slowly so you can take them in. And remember that these words are not only going into you and yourselves, but these words are going out to the universe. This is what we're setting out as rockets of desire and tractions for us today. So let me just take it slowly. As you're breathing, you're relaxed, lying there. It is natural for my body to be well. It is natural for my body to be well. Don't just hear the words, feel what well feels like. What's the vibration of wellness? Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. Breathe that in. Know that that's true for you. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve their individual balance. Some people say we have 6 trillion. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve their individual balance. Our cells like it when we acknowledge them and how powerful they are. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. If I had known then what I know now, this condition couldn't have gotten started. If I had known then what I know now, this condition could not have gotten started. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I don't need to explain how it is that I'm experiencing this illness. I don't need to explain how it is that I'm experiencing this illness. I have only to gently, eventually release this illness. I have only to gently, eventually release this illness. It doesn't matter that it got started because it's reversing its course right now. It doesn't matter that it got started because it's reversing its course right now. It's natural that it will take some time for my body to begin to align to my improved thoughts of well-being. It's natural that it would take some time for my body to begin to align to my improved thoughts of well-being. There is no hurry about any of this. There is no hurry about any of this. My body knows what to do. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. My cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and source energy is awaiting those requests. My cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and source energy is awaiting those requests. I'm in very good hands. I'm in very good hands. I will relax now to allow communication between my body and my source. I will relax now to allow communication between my body and my source. My only work is to relax and breathe. My only work is to relax and breathe. I can do that. And I can do that easily. So if you were doing this at home, you would stay in that position. Hopefully you would even nod off, because it allows yourself to marinate not only in the thoughts and feelings, but in the vibration of well-being. How do you feel? I don't know about you, but when I experience a diagnosis or someone else does, this isn't my go-to. Right? What do? We call everybody. Oh my God, you're not going to believe what the doctor just said. The blood test came back. Oh no. Opposite of this. Right? We shallow breathe. Shallow breathing leads to panic attacks. Deep breathing takes you deep, centered, and allow the truth to be told by you to your cells and to source energy, to the universe. Now I can tell you, 10 days ago I couldn't walk. And today I can walk the dog no problem. So I know it works. It works because it works on all four lower bodies. Our etheric body, our memory body, our mental, our emotional, and then of the physical. Most healing work focuses only on the physical. And the physical is not cause, it's the effect. Cause is something going on that we vibrated to and attracted to. I don't know what was going on with why I attracted to hurt my leg. I don't care. All I wanted was a good leg. And I wanted to be in well-being, which was not a hurt leg. So if you notice the nuances here and the subtleties, but very powerful, in that this whole script takes you out of what's wrong, what you don't want, and what doesn't feel good, into what we've been talking about for 6 weeks. What do I want? Does it feel good? And hold that vibration. And the universe, God, has to deliver what you... Remember the name of the book, right? Ask, and it is given. This is another way we ask. Ask in a very powerful but very subtle and quiet way. As I said, I made copies for this. Please take them to your friends and family. I mean, you can teach everyone how to do this one process. And you're going to see complete changes happening to people, and they're going back to their natural health. which is who and what we are. Homeostasis, perfect balance, ease, not disease, ease of flow of the energy of life force through us. That's what the vibration is all about. That's what understanding the universe being vibrational, and we are, and we bring everything, because what the universe says what? Yes. To everything we put out, everything we vibrate to. I vibrate to what I don't want, universe goes, okay. Dan says he wants that, he'll get it. And it was the opposite of what I wanted. And next process at the end of this is talking about getting more and more clear about what you do want. If you are experiencing pain, Abraham added in 3 line items that you put into, and I have those included on the paper too. So if you have pain, I don't know about you, but this is not where I've been trained to go in my habits. When pain shows up, I have never before said, well, you know, that sensation of pain is an indicator that source is responding to my cellular request for energy. I haven't done that before, folks, but I did do it 10 days ago. Number 2, this sensation of pain is a wonderful indicator that help is on the way. He teaches what he talks, does he not? This is about what you want, not about focus on what you don't want. This is vibrating to the level of what you want to be, not what you don't want to be. And finally, I will relax into this sensation of pain because I understand that it's indicating improvement. New mindset, new thought, new feeling, new vibration, new life. And it applies to our natural health. All we have to do is work it. We got to work the process. And we change those thoughts that are habitual. The only thing a belief system is habit. Whatever your belief is about your health, having to do with your mother's genetics or heredity and all that, that's nothing but a thought. And you made it a belief because you heard it over and over again and over again. And then you're like, okay, and then you manifest from that vibration. Abraham said this at the end of this piece. When you feel discomfort, he says, that discomfort and this is what he says to say, that discomfort that I'm feeling is nothing more than my awareness of resistance. It's time for me to relax and breathe, relax and breathe, relax and breathe. He could have made the title of this book, Relax and Breathe. It's been in every process, right? You've heard me say it over and over, and Tuesday nights we relax and breathe. But it's so powerful. When I studied with Mantak Chia, who's a grandmaster of Qigong from Thailand, he made a statement that was very powerful. He said, if Americans would only learn to breathe with their deep belly breathing, 84% of the disease in America would go away. It's the shallow breathing that we've learned that doesn't clean out the lungs. How important are our lungs? They bring oxygen, remove all the stuff we don't want, right? When we shallow breathe, and that's what he's saying here, relax and deep breathe. When you breathe in, the belly goes out. Let the diaphragm drop. When you bring the belly back in, as you exhale, it brings the diaphragm up and gets rid of all the gunk. Just that, you will start to see yourself, because that's natural. You learn to shallow breathe and breathe in the opposite way from your parents, because that's how they breathe, up in the chest. Right? Learn this one thing. It wasn't in the book, but I can tell you it will change not only your mental clarity, but it will change your physical beingness, well-being. At the very end of the chapter, it was very interesting. There was a conversation about, well, then if we're naturally well-being, why do we die physically? Well, you and I know we don't die. Our soul doesn't die. But our physical body does. In the physical, we transition back to spirit, and we drop what I call the overcoat, this body. And so Abraham was asked a bunch of questions, and I didn't put them all in here, but one of them is, well, if this is true and this is our natural state, then we should be able to live forever. And he said, yes, you can. That's a We weren't told that, were we? We weren't shown examples that you can live for 300 years. Because we were never taught examples that we are naturally well-being. Right? So when asked about why we die, this is what he said. When the physical personality, I'll put ego in there, is complete for this time around, then there is withdrawal of focus on living in the physical. Now, some of you, as I have, been through this incredible process with people. I've been there when it actually happened. And I watched this occur. When they said, it's enough is enough now. And that's why so many times you see it occur on birthdays and anniversaries and holidays. They have conscious ability to do that. But when we begin to focus on enough is enough here, we've had it, and it's time to move back to spirit, we begin to withdraw life force. And the life force comes away from the organs, and everything goes back to center, and then the soul leaves. But I thought it was really interesting that he took it on that way. Pretty interesting. Before I get into number 2, we had another question. We had a couple questions. For those who want to read more about this, because there's questions in there about why is a baby born, with health issues. And he gets into a lot of detail in that. But at one point, someone else said to him, well, if this is true, then why aren't we growing arms and legs? Right? If that's our natural state. He said, because no one believes they can. And we don't. So we manifest our vibration from our belief system, is what we create. So we don't believe that we can grow an arm back. There are creatures on this planet that grow arms back and legs. Why? Because they believe they can. We don't. And he said, when you begin to believe that you can, you will. Because all of it's there in place for you to be able to do that. Another for me. I didn't think about growing a new leg last week. Never even occurred. Number 22, we're at the end of the book. Moving up the emotional scale. I've been talking about the emotional scale for 6 weeks. Non-stop. But what he's really bringing home here is something I think is really important for all of us. And so where he says it's between anger and depression, obviously very low on the scale, negative. We're locked in that place where we don't seem to know how to get out. I know I have folks that I coach who will come in and say, I don't know what's going on, but right now I don't feel like I can get out of this. I'm locked into this, right? And this is the way to be able to begin to do this. Remember, and he kind of summarized a lot here in this last process. Remember this, there are no non-physical sources of darkness, fear, worry, sickness, confusion, or evil. I want you to take that in for a second. There are no non-physical sources of darkness, fear, worry, sickness, confusion, or evil. That flies in a lot of fundamental teaching, doesn't it? It flies in a lot of our trainings, in how we were raised. But when you begin to really allow this to become your belief system, it changes so much of how you can approach what's going on every day. Because this belief that there's something outside of you that is what leads to victimhood, right? Blame that. Devil made me do it kind of thing. Or God made me do it, right? But as we take deeper, deeper personal responsibility, and as I said at this very end of this last process, and really begin to know there is only the stream of well-being. This is another way to say God is good, right? All the time. We've heard that before. But there's something about, and we've also heard people say, well, all is well. And those are nice sayings, or nice cliches, but when you get down to, I am well-being, and begin to believe that at a belief system that's true, not only of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, but your financial, your relationship, your career, all of you is in a stream of well-being. Life begins to take on a different place, does it not? Well, number one, we have nobody to blame anymore. Right? We only have ourselves. If we take this, and where we are vibrationally in the stream of well-being, and this whole universe is saying yes to whatever you are, and I am bringing to it in my vibration. As you move up the emotional scale, and for those who, it's 22 is the bottom going to 1, 22 is depression, at number 7, 6 and 7, we're moving to a place of contentment, which is the positive part. I'll have a picture here in a minute. You've seen it all before. As you move up the emotional scale, you lower your resistance and increase your allowing. This is what we do as human beings. This is how we control our lives, and most of it is unconscious. We set up resistance. We believe in lack and limit. Those are resistance that we have brought to the vibration, we have brought to the universe. And as we go higher and higher, our resistance levels go down and our allowing goes up, because that's the other piece that we have to bring. Another word for allowing is a willingness to receive. Right? You can't believe that you're going to be wealthy and then push it away when it starts coming. That's resistance, and there's many ways we resist. Some people call it sabotage. Right? Some good starts to show up, and it's like, oh no, too good. Well, another shoe might drop, I better back off a little bit. That's resisting. That's not allowing, not saying, I'm worthy of it all, which we all have been created to do. So deliberate creation is really about deliberately achieving a better emotional state. When we boil it down to the very essence of this whole teaching, is can you find one better feeling thought to move up? That's all. You can't go from lower than you know what in depression and move to bliss. Doesn't work. I mean, you can pay $9.99, get an internet course on how to go from depression to bliss in 6 hours. Save your money. Doesn't work. It can't. Because you're vibrating at where you are in this moment, and the only way you're going to get to bliss is you begin to make the changes to get there. And that takes some time. Doesn't happen immediately for most folks. So when you say to yourself, I don't have enough money, the distance here is not to travel from not enough money to money, right? But that's what we hold in our consciousness. I don't have enough money. I need to get more money. I got to find another job. What's the vibration of that? It's what you don't want, right? And this is where I've talked about this a couple weeks ago. Every desire we have has two ends to the stick. It has when we have it, and it has the absence of it. And if we don't understand when we pick that stick up and begin to make desires, rockets of desires around it, there are both ends of it, and we got to stay always on the side of what we want. So it's not the distance from money or no money. It's the distance from feeling secure from insecure. Right? So we know money is not going to make you happy, but it can make you feel secure. And until you begin to feel the security of it, this I am secure in everything that I'm doing in this life stream of well-being, the money will begin to happen. But we stay focused on the money, not having it. I don't have enough money, I got to do something to pay the bills. That is not going to get you to where you want to go. I did the same thing here with health. When you're feeling sick, the distance to travel is not sickness to wellness. It's the distance between fear and confidence. Confidence that you live in a universe of well-being. Confidence that you know how to vibrationally align yourself with the well-being. The health issue takes care of itself. But I said this a couple of Sundays ago. This is why billions upon billions upon billions of prayers have not worked. Because the prayers are about what you don't want. Right? Please take this sickness away. You're vibrating to sickness. And you cannot bring anything but that. And so as we begin to slide, and this is number 22 again. This is a repeat about 3 times in different ways to come at it. And when I find with Abraham, when he repeats, he's repeating for a reason. Just pay attention, Dan. This is very subtle, but very powerful in understanding there's both sides to the stick, and I got to stay on the side that what I want and what feels good. And I got to stay there and vibrate to that. For how long? 68 seconds. I have so many people I'll coach, will say, well, I'm doing affirmations, and some days I feel better and some days I don't. And I say, how long are you doing them? Most of the time, not 68 seconds. And we'll talk about that at the very end of this. So when you hold the feeling of security, the money will follow. When you hold the feeling of confidence, physical well-being follows. You may be saying, I want to be well. But the universe is hearing this. I'm worried about my body. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm worried about my health. I'm afraid I'll have the bad experience like my mother did. I'm angry that I didn't exercise more, or drink more water, or whatever it is. Those items, I know no one in here says, but there's other people out there who do, is what the universe hears and is your vibration and will bring you more worried about my body. That is not what you want, and it doesn't feel good. So this is another way to look at this, both ends of the stick. Be very, very careful in these desires, that you're making sure you're getting to what you want and that it feels good. If you ask those 2 questions, it'll keep you out of here. When I say I'm disappointed in myself, what is the universe hearing? I'm disappointed. And what is it going to say yes to, and what is it going to bring more of? Disappointment. That is not why I'm doing this exercise. But it's what I'm manifesting. And probably 80-90% of the people I coach that are having issues around law of attraction, it's in this. Not understanding there's 2 ends of the stick, and not understanding that they're talking about what they don't want and what makes them not feel good. When I sit down with someone in the very first session, I'll say to them, well, tell me what you want. And they'll give me a list this long of what they don't want. It's the natural state of humans. And you're doing it too, and you may not be aware of it. Start listening to yourself. Become self-aware of how you're talking to yourself. And how much are you talking about what you don't want versus how much you do want. If you will make the improved feeling or emotion be your real destination, not the effect, that'll follow, but to get the real feeling to be what you want, let that be your destination, then anything and everything that you want will quickly follow. This is a subtlety, but it's probably the most powerful piece that will take you, whether you're successful in manifesting the life that you want or not, is right here in this piece. We talked a little bit about pivoting, right? The ability to, I'm not feeling good, what's my thought? I can pivot to something that feels good. Barry shared with me one of the pivot he's teaching is golf students on the team. So we can pivot by using, well, wouldn't it be nice if? That's a wonderful pivot. So it's pivoting with that statement. You got to use these tools to be able to begin to pivot, because if you stay in the negative for more than 68 seconds, you have fired up the law of attraction, says yes to you, and is bringing in exactly what you don't want. So pivoting, when I say pivoting, to me is the number one teaching out of this. And the better you can learn to pivot and the faster you can pivot, the more fast you're going to see your life change. Because you can pivot in a moment. It takes 1 second to pivot. So again, this is the spiral we were talking about, number 7 of contentment going up. So his question that Abraham is, so if you don't know where you are on that, don't get so hung up on, well, I'm at number 7 or 6. He said, ask these kind of general questions. Do I feel powerful or do I feel powerless? Number 1, number 22. Well, I'm more powerless than powerful. I'm down here somewhere in the bottom. And oh, you know what? It's frustration or it's irritation. Then you can begin to look at what's the next level to go up. But don't get hung up in the judgment of it, and it's not important that you know exactly what level you're on. You need to know that you're feeling right now with what you don't want, and you want to move on. If you start at level 22 today and commit to move only 1 level a day, worst case scenario, it'll take you 22 days to reach bliss. Doesn't happen overnight. Anyone can do it. You can start wherever you are, and you can start at the absolute bottom of depression and powerless and begin to move 1 step at a time, further and further up. And by the time you know it, you're at least going to be in the positive side and begin to attract that to you. So I'm going to share with you what I do. And again, try it. If it works for you, use it. If not, let it be. So if I want to be at peace, I'm going to use a statement. This is my rocket of desire. I am peace. Remember what I am means. The God within me is peace, not me, not Dan. The God within me is peace. That's the beginning of the statement. The next statement is me. I feel peace. Most people miss this. They'll say the affirmations, they'll do the I am affirmations over and over again, but they never take it down and make it personal about how you feel. I feel peace. So I put those two together, and then I add this that we added a couple weeks ago with the violet fire. Why do I use the violet fire? Because the violet fire transmutes anything that's not of God. And I don't want that in my life. So I put them together. I am peace, I feel peace, I'm a being of the violet fire, I'm the purity God desires. I promise you, in 68 seconds, you will come to peace. So how do I know when 68 seconds is up? I get out my iPhone, and I do it, and find out where 68 seconds is. 68 seconds, for me, is about 8 times. So as I do this, I am peace, I feel better, I am a being of the violet fire, I'm the purity God desires. 2 of those takes me over 17 seconds when I begin to get other thoughts that are in alignment. If I hold it for 8 times, I'm now at 68 seconds, and the law of attraction must go to work. Most people who are trying to do this work never get to 68 seconds. And when I say to them why, they say, well, you know how long 68 seconds is? And I said, not to feel peaceful. At least not for me. Right? So you time yourself, because you're going to say it at a different cadence, whatever. But make sure whatever you do, at 8 times, I'm about 5 to 6 seconds over the 68. But if you're finding that your affirmations and your feeling statements are not working, I would look at the time issue. Because what you want to get to is you want to feel it. You got to feel peace before you can vibrate to peace, right? Otherwise, it's just words. And you got to let the words come from here down into your heart and your gut. And when you begin to vibrate at peace, guess what the universe says? Now we know what Dan wants. More peace. And they're going to bring the right people in the right situations and the right experiences for me to have that. Okay? But find for yourself. Actually do the work and find out what works for you, how often you have to do it. Do it like you would naturally do it, and make sure that you're somewhere north of 68 seconds. Watch what starts happening for you. And my other suggestion is pick one and do it for 3 weeks till it becomes your new habit. You have a new normal, right? And you will live from that normal. Yeah, you'll dip down, but your dip downs will be higher than they used to be. And your feel goods will be higher than they used to be. Your new normal sets the new habit. And after 3 weeks, go up another one. You know, I haven't had the courage yet to take on bliss. I'm going to, because it's number one. I want to get there. But it's steps to get there, right? Remember, you're eternal beings. You have forever. But the sooner you get about it, the better you're going to feel as you move forward. Okay, I summarized the 22. Again, I have that in writing for you. I did it so that if you have an issue comes up, you can go right to it and say, what do I want to do? And you've got all the information. You've got the videos, and those on Tuesday night have the sheets. So if you're having money issues, Process 5, the prosperity game, we have some folks still playing that. They're getting to spend a lot of money now, you know, 20, 30,000 every day. The wallet process, I've had a couple people email me how good it feels to get that $100 bill in their wallet or purse and keep it there, and how many times a day they can spend, and it's like, yes, I've got $100 all the time that I can keep spending, and I spend it 10 times in a day, I spend $1,000. And releasing the resistance to become free of debt. So again, a quick way to go, where do I go? We've talked about let go and let God. Many times there's never been a how-to do that. These are the ones I think that really have helped. Process number 6 is the meditation. And we added to it, remember, going to the gap between the thoughts is where God is. It's a good way to let go of you, get to God. The placemat, I know a bunch of folks are using that, and that's where you put down a couple things you're going to do today, and you put everything over here that you turn over to God. It's a great way to make let go and let God be alive in your life. And process number 20 was turning it over to the manager, another way of doing it. I had a conversation here before everybody got here, and they're talking about they're doing this, and how few things are showing up on their side. And God's list is getting big, and guess what? It's getting done. It's like, wow, I'm learning not to overwhelm myself. And, you know, a couple things over here, what I'll do every day, the rest I put over there, and watch the universe work it out. Changing in the present, this is pivoting, wouldn't it be nice if, and I put here the focus wheel process we talked about last week, where you are dealing with 12 items to take a belief, a deep-seated negative belief, and how do we turn it to something better. Creating a new future, this is co-creating with the universe. The magical creation box, I know a couple folks have been sharing with me, and I've seen their boxes, they're awesome. The creative process, those who have been doing that, you did it once a week for 4 weeks, and then now once a month for the next 5 months. And what Abraham said, if you're willing to do this process in 6 months, you will have a new life, I promise you. Virtual reality and then the scripting were all ways to create a new future. When you're feeling bad, number 1 was rampage of appreciation. Don't forget that one. It's the easiest one to do, and it's the most powerful because it instantly changes you. When you force yourself to begin to list the things you appreciate in life, your whole unit changes. You know, you go from whatever you were feeling to, yeah, there's so much out there for me to appreciate. The book of positive aspects, which thought feels better, finding the feeling place and moving up the emotional scale. I put it all in this of feeling bad, how do we turn it around immediately? And then miscellaneous, evaluating our dreams, segment, intending, clearing clutter for clarity, and reclaiming our natural health. So I put those 4, didn't know where they kind of fit other than that. But anyway, you're going to have a sheet that you'll be able to go to and say, oh, this is where I am in the moment. Let me go get that process and put it to place. So I hope you all have enjoyed this 6 weeks as much as I have, because I live this stuff. I use it, I coach it, and I hope all of you are finding pieces that fit in for you and allow you to be a joyful co-creator of the best life that you can possibly have. That's why we're here. Let's be successful and end it well, whatever that might be. According to him, it could be 170 years from now. Yes. It's all possible if I believe it, right? Great. All right, that's the end of this. Let's stand and we'll do our decree.